The stars seemed to dim as the massive warship Thunderstorm moved through space. Its black hull swallowed light rather than reflected it. On the command bridge stood Admiral Gina Kim, looking out at the vast emptiness with cold eyes. "Admiral, we will reach Proxima Centauri Station in 30 minutes, said Officer Day, his voice careful and quiet. Gina gave a small nod but did not turn. She did not need to. Everyone on the bridge watched her with a mix of fear and respect. At 42 years old, Gina had never lost a battle. 57 fights, 57 wins. No one in the Galactic Confederation had such a record. "Prepare my shuttle," she said. Her voice was soft but firm, and informed the station of our exact arrival time. "Yes, Admiral." Jaina finally turned from the viewport. She was not tall, but her presence filled the room. Her black uniform had few marks of rank. She didn't need them. Everyone across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy knew who she was. The Void's Shadow, they called her. The most feared military leader in known space. She walked to her private room off the bridge. Inside, she studied the information about the upcoming meeting. 17 alien species would be there, all nervous about what she might do next. That was good. Fear kept order. Gina's ancestors had left Earth hundreds of years ago, among the first Korean colonists to settle a distant world. When the wormhole network collapsed, they were cut off. Her people had to become strong to survive in a hostile universe. Now they were feared, and that fear protected them. The Thunderstorm slowed as it approached Proxima Centauri, the closest star to humanity's original home. The space station came into view, a giant wheel spinning slowly against the backdrop of a reddish star. "Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from the station," Officer Day reported. "They are concerned about our weapons systems being active." Gina almost smiled. "Tell them our weapons remain active at all times. That is not negotiable." She watched as small patrol ships from the station approached cautiously, like tiny fish swimming near a shark. They would escort the Thunderstorm to its docking position, though they could do nothing if Gina decided to attack. "The representatives from all 17 species are waiting in the main hall," Officer Day said. "They've been there for 3 hours already." "Good," Gina said. "Waiting creates anxiety. Anxiety leads to mistakes." As she prepared to board her shuttle, Gina reviewed what she knew about each species that would be at the meeting. The blue-skinned Arcturians, who controlled important trade routes. The insect-like Vesperi, with their vast mining operations. The gaseous Elorans, who had once tried to assassinate her and failed. And the newest members of the Confederation, humans from Earth. Gina's people no longer considered themselves humans, not really. 4 generations had changed them. Evolution on a high-gravity world had made them stronger. War had made them fiercer. Isolation had made them suspicious. The shuttle departed from the Thunderstorm with Gina and 6 elite guards. As they approached the station, she saw the gathered ships from other worlds. All kept their distance from her flagship. "Admiral," one of her guards said, "intelligence reports that Earth has sent a special representative to this meeting. Someone named Han Ta." Gina narrowed her eyes. "Korean ancestry." "Yes, Admiral. It seems they hope to establish a connection with you through shared heritage." Gina looked out at the station growing larger in the viewport. "A foolish strategy. We left Earth behind long ago." But as the shuttle docked with a heavy clunk of metal on metal, Gina felt something unexpected. A slight tightness in her chest. Curiosity, perhaps, or something deeper she had not felt in many years. The diplomatic station awaited. 17 alien species held their breath. And somewhere inside, a human with a Korean name waited to meet the woman they called the Void's Shadow. Han Ta paced back and forth in his small room on the Proxima Centauri station. He kept adjusting his blue diplomat uniform, which felt too tight around his neck. At 33 years old, Han had never expected to be in this position. He was a diplomat, yes, but he usually handled trade deals and cultural exchanges, not meetings with the most feared military leader in the galaxy. "You can do this," he told himself, stopping to look in the mirror. "It's just a meeting." But it wasn't just any meeting. In less than an hour, he would meet Admiral Gina Kim, the woman known as the Void's Shadow. Han's comm device beeped. He tapped it to answer. "Ambassador Tai." Came the voice of his boss back on Earth, Director Lee. "The Thunderstorm has arrived. Admiral Kim will dock soon." Han took a deep breath. "I've reviewed all the files, but I still don't understand why you chose me for this assignment." There was a pause before Director Lee answered. "Because you share her heritage, Han. You're both of Korean descent. It's a small connection, but it's all we have." "My family has lived on Earth for generations," Han said. "Her people left centuries ago. I doubt she cares about old Earth cultures." "Maybe not," Director Lee admitted. "But humans need this alliance. We're still new to the Confederation. We need the protection of someone powerful." Han nodded, though no one could see him. Earth had only joined the Galactic Confederation 30 years ago. Humans were seen as primitive newcomers by most alien species. Having Admiral Kim as an ally could change that. "I'll do my best," Han promised. After the call ended, Han looked out his window at the massive black ship in the distance. The Thunderstorm was at least 5 times larger than any Earth vessel. It looked like a predator among prey. Han had studied Admiral Kim's career carefully. 57 battles without a single defeat. Entire civilizations had surrendered at just the news of her approach. The story said she had personally led ground forces in 12 major conflicts and had killed enemies with her bare hands. A knock at his door made Han jump. "Ambassador Tai," said a green-skinned Proxima station worker. "All representatives are gathering in the main hall. Admiral Kim's shuttle has docked." Han followed the station worker through the curved corridors. The station was built like a wheel, spinning to create artificial gravity. As they walked, Han noticed how other aliens moved aside when they saw his human face. The main hall was enormous, with a high ceiling and windows that showed the stars outside. Representatives from 17 different species stood in small groups, their voices a mix of clicks, whistles, and words that Han's translator turned into English. "The human is here," said a tall, blue-skinned Arcturian, pointing at Han with one of its 4 arms. "Let's see if the Void's Shadow recognizes her own kind." Han chose not to respond. He found a spot near the main entrance and waited. The room grew quiet as everyone heard the sound of heavy boots in the corridor. The doors slid open. Admiral Gina Kim walked in with 6 guards. She was shorter than Han expected, but her presence filled the room. Her black uniform had no decorations except a small silver pin shaped like a planet Han didn't recognize. Her face showed no emotion, and her dark eyes scanned the room quickly, taking in every detail. When those eyes found Han, they paused. For just a second, something flickered across her face. Surprise, perhaps, or curiosity. Han straightened his back and prepared to step forward. His mouth felt dry. In his mind, he reviewed the traditional Korean greeting he had practiced, hoping it might create some small bridge between them. The fate of Earth standing in the galaxy might depend on the next few minutes. Han took a deep breath and moved toward the most feared woman in the stars. The main hall fell completely silent as Han Ta walked toward Admiral Gina Kim. Every eye, antenna, and sensory organ from 17 different species watched this first meeting between the 2 humans. Han stopped 3 steps away from the Admiral and gave a small bow. He had practiced this moment many times. "Admiral Kim," he said in Korean, "it is an honor to meet you. I am Han Ta, representative of Earth." Admiral Kim's face showed nothing. Her guards moved slightly closer to her, hands near their weapons. "I speak Standard Galactic," she replied in the common language of the Confederation. Her voice was cool and flat. "Korean is a dead language to me." Han felt his cheeks grow warm. He quickly switched to Standard Galactic. "Of course, Admiral. Please forgive my assumption." The Admiral walked past him toward the center of the room. The crowd of aliens parted like water around a rock. Han followed her, trying to keep his face calm. "Earth sent you because we share ancestors," Admiral Kim said without looking back at him. "A poor strategy. My people left Earth behind long ago." Han had to walk faster to keep up with her. "Earth recognizes the achievements of your people, Admiral. We hope to learn from you." Admiral Kim stopped suddenly and turned. Han almost bumped into her. "What could Earth possibly learn from me?" she asked. Her dark eyes studied his face. "Your people are soft. You have not faced true hardship." Several alien representatives nodded in agreement. Earth was known for its peaceful ways, not its military strength. Han did not back down. "Perhaps we could continue this conversation somewhere more private, Admiral." To everyone's surprise, Admiral Kim nodded. "The observation deck. 10 minutes." She turned to the other representatives. "The formal meeting will begin in 2 hours." With that, she left the main hall with her guards. Han let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. A tall, insect-like Vesperi clicked its mandibles near Han's ear. "The shadow shows you no respect, human. This does not bode well for Earth." Han smiled politely. "Thank you for your concern." 10 minutes later, Han stood on the observation deck. One entire wall was transparent, showing the stars and the red glow of Proxima Centauri. Admiral Kim was already there, standing alone. Her guards waited by the door. "Your guards can wait outside," Admiral Kim said as Han approached. "I didn't bring any guards," Han replied. Something like surprise flickered across the Admiral's face. "Foolish," she said. "Any of the 17 species here would gain advantage by harming Earth's representative." Han moved to stand beside her, looking out at the stars. "I prefer to show trust." Admiral Kim was quiet for a moment. "Trust is a luxury my people cannot afford." "What happened to your colony?" Han asked. "Our records say the wormhole collapsed, but little else." The Admiral's jaw tightened. "We were attacked, left defenseless. My great-grandparents fought with farming tools against enemies with plasma weapons." Her voice remained even, but Han could hear the old pain in it. "We survived because we became stronger than those who wished us dead." Han nodded slowly. "Earth has faced its own struggles, though different ones." "This meeting is a waste of my fleet's resources," Admiral Kim said suddenly. "The Regellian Compact is expanding in the Orion sector. I should be there, not here discussing trade routes and cultural exchanges." Han turned to face her directly. "Then why did you come, Admiral?" For the first time, Admiral Kim seemed at a loss for words. She looked at Han, then back to the stars. "I don't know," she admitted quietly. In that moment, Han saw something in her eyes that none of the aliens in the station had ever seen. Uncertainty, and beneath that, a deep loneliness. The fearsome void shadow was still human after all. But the moment passed quickly. Admiral Kim's face hardened again. 2 hours, Ambassador Ta. Be prepared." She walked away, her guards falling in behind her. Han watched her go, feeling both worried and hopeful. The first meeting had not gone well, but he had seen something important. Admiral Gina Kim was more than just the monster of the stories. The formal dinner began 2 hours later in the station's grand hall. Long tables were set with foods from many worlds. Representatives from all 17 species sat according to their rank and importance. Admiral Kim was given the seat of honor, with Han placed far down the table. Han watched as Admiral Kim ate nothing, drank nothing. Her guards stood behind her, eyes scanning the room constantly. The other representatives spoke in quiet voices, careful not to draw her attention. "The human admiral refuses all food," whispered a small green alien next to Han. "They say she once killed a diplomat who tried to poison her by making him eat his own food." Han smiled politely but said nothing. The stories about Admiral Kim grew more extreme with each telling. After the main course, the station director, a tall blue Arcturian, stood to make a speech. Han's attention drifted to one of the serving staff, a thin alien with gray skin who moved too quickly toward Admiral Kim's position. Han frowned. Something wasn't right. The server's hand moved inside its uniform. Without thinking, Han jumped from his seat and ran toward Admiral Kim. "Admiral," he shouted, "look out." The gray alien pulled out a small weapon. It fired with a bright flash, just as Han reached the Admiral. Han crashed into Kim, pushing her sideways out of her chair. But burning pain hit his shoulder as they fell to the floor. Chaos erupted in the hall. Admiral Kim's guards fired at the assassin. Representatives screamed and ran for the exits. Han lay on the floor, his shoulder burning with pain. Strong hands grabbed him. Admiral Kim pulled Han up and behind a thick column as more shots were fired. Her face showed anger, not fear. "Station security," she shouted into a small device on her wrist. "Lock down all exits." 3 more attackers appeared from among the dining staff. Admiral Kim drew her own weapon, a sleek black pistol. She fired 3 times. Each shot found its target. The attackers fell. Han's vision blurred from the pain. He felt blood soaking his blue uniform. "Stay awake," Admiral Kim ordered him. Her voice seemed far away. "Security is coming." Station guards rushed in, led by the Arcturian director. The remaining assassin was quickly captured. "Regellian agents," the director said, looking at the dead attackers. "They must have infiltrated our staff." Admiral Kim turned to Han, who was now leaning heavily against the column. Her face showed confusion. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "Why risk yourself?" Han tried to smile through the pain. "It's what humans do for each other." Then everything went dark. Han woke up in the station's medical bay. The ceiling above him was white and bright. His shoulder was wrapped in bandages, and the pain had dulled to a throb. "The human is awake," said a medical robot nearby. Han turned his head and was surprised to see Admiral Kim sitting in a chair next to his bed. She was reading something on a small screen. When she noticed he was awake, she put the screen away. "The poison on the blade was meant for me," she said without greeting. "It would have killed most species in seconds." Han tried to sit up but winced at the pain. "Your Earth physiology is different," Admiral Kim continued. "The doctors say you will recover." "The meeting," Han began. "Postponed," Admiral Kim said. "The station is on high alert. All Regellian representatives have been detained for questioning." She stood up and looked down at him. Her face was hard to read. "I have fought in 57 battles. I have killed enemies without hesitation. But no one has ever—" She paused, seeming to search for words. "No one has ever put themselves in danger to protect me." Han blinked in surprise. "Your guards would." "They are paid to do so," Admiral Kim said. "You had no reason to save me. Most in that room would have been happy to see me dead." Han looked at her directly. "I didn't think about it. I just acted." Admiral Kim walked to the door but stopped before leaving. "The doctor says you need rest. I will return tomorrow." She hesitated, then added, "Thank you, Han Ta." It was the first time she had used his name. Han spent 3 days in the medical bay. On the morning of the 4th day, he was sitting up in bed when Admiral Kim walked in. She came alone this time, without her guards. "You look better," she said, standing at the foot of his bed. Han nodded. "The doctor says I can leave tomorrow." Admiral Kim seemed uncomfortable. She glanced at the door, then back at Han. "The station director has rescheduled the meeting for next week. Some representatives have already left." "But you stayed," Han said. Admiral Kim said nothing for a moment. Then she pulled a chair closer to the bed and sat down. This surprised Han. The Admiral was not known for casual conversation. "My great-grandmother kept a book," she said suddenly. It was from Earth, a history of Korea. It was one of the few things she brought with her on the colony ship. Han listened, not wanting to interrupt this rare moment of openness. When the wormhole collapsed and we were attacked, most of our history was lost. We had to focus on survival. Admiral Kim's voice remained steady, but her eyes showed old pain. 4 generations have passed. Very little of Earth remains in us. But something does remain, Han said gently. Admiral Kim looked at him. Yes, something does. She reached into a pocket and pulled out a small worn object. It was a wooden carving of a tiger, no bigger than her thumb. This was passed down in my family, she said. My grandmother told me tigers were once important in Korean stories. Han smiled. They were. Tigers appear in many old Korean tales. They represent strength and protection. Admiral Kim looked at the small carving with new interest. We have no tigers on our world. I've never seen one except in old pictures. We have them on Earth, Han said, in protected areas. They almost went extinct once, but we saved them. Admiral Kim put the tiger carving back in her pocket. Tell me about Earth now. How has it changed? For the next hour, Han told stories of Earth's history since her ancestors had left. He spoke of wars and peace, of climate recovery, of how humans had finally learned to work together. Admiral Kim listened without interrupting. And what about Korean culture? She asked finally. Does it still exist? Han nodded eagerly. Very much so. We keep our traditions alive while also creating new ones. He told her about holidays like Seol and Chuseok, about traditional foods like kimchi and bulgogi, about Korean music and art that had spread across Earth. For the first time, Han saw Admiral Kim smile. It was small, just a slight lifting of the corners of her mouth, but it changed her whole face. My mother used to make a food that sounds like your kimchi, she said. We call it something different now, but it must be the same. Han smiled back. Some things survive across time and space. Admiral Kim's smile faded. She stood up, becoming formal again. I should let you rest. But before she reached the door, Han called out, Admiral Kim, would you like to share a meal tomorrow? Real food, not medical bay food. I could show you some Earth cooking techniques. Admiral Kim paused at the door. For a moment, Han thought she would refuse. Then she nodded once. Yes, she said. I would like that. After she left, Han lay back in bed, thinking. The fearsome Admiral Kim, the void's shadow, had smiled. She had shared personal stories. She had agreed to a meal. It wasn't much, but it was a start. A connection had formed between them, fragile but real. A connection that spanned centuries and light years, back to a shared homeland neither of them had ever really known. Han closed his eyes, feeling hopeful for the first time since arriving at the station. Perhaps fear wasn't the only way to bring people together across the stars. 1 week after the assassination attempt, the diplomatic meetings finally resumed. Han stood at the back of the main conference room, watching as representatives from 14 species argued about trade routes and defense systems. 3 species had left the station after the attack, claiming security concerns. Admiral Kim sat at the head of the table, silent and watchful. When she occasionally spoke, everyone stopped to listen. Her words were few but carried great weight. During a break, Han noticed 3 representatives huddled in a corner. They were from wealthy, powerful worlds. An Arcturian, a Vesperi, and a gaseous Ellerin, contained in a floating metal sphere. They spoke in low voices, glancing at Han several times. Han pretended not to notice, but he moved closer to hear them. Earth is becoming too influential, the Arcturian was saying. They have only been in space for a century, yet they already have a seat at our table. We should propose new membership rules, the Vesperi clicked. Make it harder for primitive worlds to join. The Ellerin sphere bobbed in agreement. The vote is tomorrow. If we all stand together, we can change the rules. Han frowned. This was a direct threat to Earth's position in the Confederation. He needed to tell Admiral Kim. Later that evening, Han found the Admiral alone in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. They planned to force Earth out of the Confederation, Han said after explaining what he had overheard. Admiral Kim didn't seem surprised. Politics, she said, always the same on every world. Can you help? Han asked. Your voice carries weight. Admiral Kim turned to face him. Why should I care about Earth's standing? My people have survived without the Confederation's help for generations. Han stepped closer. Because despite everything, we share a common history, and because I saved your life. Admiral Kim raised an eyebrow. Using that already. I thought humans were above such tactics. Han smiled. We're practical when we need to be. For a moment, Admiral Kim almost smiled back. Then her face grew serious again. I have built my reputation carefully, she said. The fear others have of me serves a purpose. What purpose? Han asked. Admiral Kim gestured to the stars visible through the window. Fear of me has saved billions of lives. If species are terrified of provoking the void's shadow, they maintain peace. Han considered this. Fear only works for so long, he said. Eventually, people either stop being afraid, or they become desperate enough to fight back despite their fear. You speak of things you do not understand, Admiral Kim said sharply. I have kept 3 spiral arms of the galaxy from falling into total war for 15 years. At what cost to yourself? Han asked quietly. Admiral Kim stared at him. No one had ever asked her such a question before. I do what is necessary, she said finally. Han nodded. I understand, but there might be other ways. Such as alliances built on mutual benefit, not fear, Han suggested. Connections between peoples based on shared interests and respect. Admiral Kim looked skeptical. A nice dream, Ambassador Ta. But the galaxy is not a nice place. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Admiral Kim's wrist communicator beeped urgently. She answered it, her face growing tense as she listened. I understand, she said. Prepare the fleet. She turned to Han, her eyes now cold and focused. Long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching from uncharted space. At least 50 ships, heavily armed, on direct course for this station. Who are they? Han asked, feeling a chill run down his spine. Unknown, Admiral Kim said. A new species we have never encountered before, but their weapons are hot, and they are not responding to communication attempts. Han realized what this meant. We're under attack. Admiral Kim nodded, already walking quickly toward the door. The diplomatic mission is over. Ambassador Ta. Now we fight. The station's command center was filled with frightened voices. Representatives from 14 species argued loudly while station officers tried to maintain order. On the main screen, a map showed the approaching enemy fleet. 53 large ships moving in perfect formation. Admiral Kim strode into the room with Han close behind her. Everyone fell silent at her entrance. We have 2 hours before they arrive, she announced. My fleet is our only real defense. The Thunderstorm and 7 battle cruisers against 53 unknown vessels. The Arcturian station director's blue skin turned pale. Those are terrible odds, Admiral. We should evacuate, said the Vesperi representative, mandibles clicking anxiously. Save who we can. There is no time to evacuate everyone, Admiral Kim said coldly. And the nearest safe world is 3 days away at top speed. Panic spread through the room. Some representatives shouted at each other. Others simply stared at the screen in silence. Han watched as Admiral Kim stood still amid the chaos, her face showing nothing. But he had begun to recognize the small signs of tension around her eyes. Admiral, Han said, stepping forward. May I speak? Admiral Kim nodded once. Han turned to face the frightened representatives. We need to work together, he said clearly. Each of your worlds has ships nearby. Small ships, yes, but together they could help. Help how? demanded the Ellerin, its metal sphere hovering nervously. Those are warships approaching. Our vessels are not built for battle. Not all battles are won by firing weapons, Han replied. We need information about the enemy. Small ships could get close enough to scan their vessels without being seen as major threats. Admiral Kim watched Han with interest. He's right, she said. I need to know their shield frequencies, weapon types, and engine capabilities. The representatives looked at each other. No one wanted to risk their ships. My people will help, said a small green representative that Han had not noticed before. We have 3 research vessels in the nearby asteroid field. The Mektari offer help. The Arctarian director seemed surprised. You are the smallest and weakest among us. The Mektari representative straightened its tiny frame. We are small, yes, but we are not afraid. Slowly, other representatives began to offer help too. Soon, 19 ships from 12 different species were committed to the defense effort. Admiral Kim pulled Han aside as the representatives made calls to their ships. What you did was unexpected, she said quietly. Han shrugged. Humans are good at bringing people together. Perhaps, Admiral Kim said, but it won't be enough. My fleet is still badly outnumbered. What will you do? Han asked. Admiral Kim's face hardened with resolve. Well, I must. I will take the Thunderstorm to meet them head-on. The other ships can focus on protecting the station. Han realized what she was saying. That's a suicide mission. It is a necessary sacrifice, Admiral Kim replied. If we hit them hard enough at their center, their formation might break. It will give the station time to evacuate some people. Han shook his head. There must be another way. There isn't. Admiral Kim looked at the main screen, where the enemy fleet grew closer with each passing minute. This is why people fear me, Han Ta, because I will do what others cannot. Before Han could argue further, Officer Day rushed in from the Thunderstorm. Admiral, he said urgently, we've detected unusual energy readings from the lead enemy ship. They appear to be charging a weapon of enormous power. Admiral Kim nodded. Time to battle stations. Prepare my shuttle. She turned to Han one last time. Continue coordinating the allies you've gathered. They will need leadership when I'm gone. Han watched as the feared admiral, the Void's shadow, walked toward what might be her final battle. And for the first time, he truly understood the weight she carried, the lonely burden of command. The battle began 1 hour later. From the station's observation deck, Han and the other representatives watched as Admiral Kim's fleet moved to intercept the enemy. The Thunderstorm led the way, its black hull absorbing the light from nearby Proxima Centauri. They are outnumbered 7-1, the Arctarian director said, his voice low. Even the Void's shadow cannot win such a battle. Han said nothing. His eyes were fixed on the Thunderstorm. On the main screen, they could see Admiral Kim on her bridge, giving commands calmly as her crew prepared for battle. The enemy ships were now clearly visible, massive, pointed vessels that glowed with a strange purple light. Their design was unlike anything seen before in the Confederation. First contact is rarely this hostile, Han said quietly. I wonder why they attack without communication. Some species are born to conquer, replied the Mektari representative standing beside him. They do not wish to talk, only to destroy. The enemy fleet suddenly changed formation, splitting into 3 groups. The largest group headed straight for the Thunderstorm. They know which ship is most dangerous. The Vesperi clicked nervously. They target Admiral Kim first. Han watched as the Thunderstorm fired its main weapons. Bright blue beams cut through space, hitting the lead enemy ship. The enemy vessel's shields flared but held. The battle became chaotic. Enemy ships fired purple energy blasts that seemed to bend space itself. 2 of Admiral Kim's smaller cruisers exploded in bright flashes. The Thunderstorm took multiple hits but kept fighting. The small scout ships are sending data. A station officer reported. We now have information on their shield frequencies and weapon systems. Han moved quickly to the communications panel. Send it to the Thunderstorm immediately. On screen, they saw Admiral Kim receive the information. Her face showed no emotion as she studied it. Then she looked up and gave new orders to her crew. The Thunderstorm changed course, diving directly toward the center of the enemy fleet. This was not a retreat. It was an attack. What is she doing? Gasped the Ellerin. She flies into their strongest point. Han suddenly understood. She's going to use her ship as a battering ram. Break their formation from the inside. The Thunderstorm fired all weapons as it plunged into the heart of the enemy fleet. Enemy ships scattered, trying to avoid collision. For a moment, it seemed Admiral Kim's plan might work. Then multiple purple beams converged on the Thunderstorm. The great black ship shuddered under the attack. Explosions rippled along its hull. Main engines damage, reported a station officer, reading data from the Thunderstorm. Shields failing. Multiple hull breaches. On screen, they could see smoke filling the Thunderstorm's bridge. Admiral Kim remained in her command chair, still giving orders even as systems failed around her. She's going to die, the Arcturian director said, his voice filled with awe rather than fear. The void's shadow falls, but she takes many enemies with her. Han felt something twist inside his chest. Without thinking, he turned and ran from the observation deck. Where are you going? Called the Mekturi representative. To get her, Han shouted back. Minutes later, Han was in a small shuttle, flying toward the battle. The station controller's voice came through his communicator. Ambassador Te, return to the station immediately. This is suicide. Han ignored the calls. He pushed the shuttle to its maximum speed, dodging debris and energy blasts as he approached the Thunderstorm. Admiral Kim, he called through the emergency channel. This is Han Ta. I'm coming to get you. There was static, then Admiral Kim's voice, weak but clear. Go back, Han. That's an order. With respect, Admiral. Han replied as he maneuvered toward the Thunderstorm's damaged docking bay. I don't take orders from you. Through the shuttle's viewport, Han could see the Thunderstorm was dying. But somewhere inside that broken ship was Admiral Gina Kim, and Han was not leaving without her. Han's shuttle landed roughly in the Thunderstorm's damaged docking bay. Warning lights flashed red throughout the ship. The air was thin and filled with smoke. Admiral Kim, Han called into his communicator as he ran through the corridors. Where are you? Bridge, level 7, came her weak reply through bursts of static. Han climbed through damaged sections where gravity was failing. Twice he had to stop to help injured crew members. He directed them toward his shuttle. When Han finally reached the bridge, the doors were jammed. He forced them open with a metal bar he had found. Inside, most of the crew were either evacuated or dead. Admiral Kim sat alone in her command chair, blood running from a cut on her forehead. You should have stayed on the station, she said as Han approached, and let the most feared admiral in the galaxy die. Han replied, moving quickly to her side. That wouldn't be good for my career. Admiral Kim almost smiled despite the situation. The ship is lost. I set the core to overload. It will explode in 15 minutes, taking many enemy ships with it. Then we should leave, Han said, helping her to stand. Admiral Kim winced in pain. Her leg was badly injured. I can't walk. Then I'll carry you, Han said simply. Before she could protest, Han lifted the fearsome Admiral Kim in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. For a moment, she looked shocked, then resigned. If anyone sees this, my reputation will be ruined, she muttered. Han grinned as he carried her from the bridge. Good. They made it back to the shuttle with 5 minutes to spare. 3 injured crew members were already inside. Han placed Admiral Kim carefully in a seat and strapped her in before rushing to the controls. The shuttle's engines roared to life. Han piloted it away from the dying thunderstorm just as the ship's core exploded. The shockwave hit their small vessel, sending it spinning. "Hold on," Han shouted as he fought for control. When they finally stabilized, Han looked back. The explosion had destroyed the thunderstorm and at least 12 enemy ships. The remaining enemy vessels were in disarray. "They're retreating," Admiral Kim said softly, watching through the viewport. The explosion disrupted their formation. The shuttle limped back to the station. Emergency medical teams met them at the docking bay. As doctors took Admiral Kim away on a stretcher, she grabbed Han's hand. "Why?" she asked, her dark eyes intense. "Why risk your life for me?" Han squeezed her hand gently. "Because connection is stronger than fear." 3 months later, the Confederation Assembly gathered on Earth. Representatives from 25 species filled the Great Hall in Geneva. At the center of attention was Admiral Gina Kim, no longer wearing her black battle armor, but dressed in a formal blue diplomatic uniform. Han stood beside her, now officially Earth's ambassador. His shoulder still ached sometimes from the assassination wound, but he didn't mind. "The defensive alliance is approved," announced the assembly leader, with Admiral Kim as its first commander. Applause filled the hall. The battle at Proxima had changed things. The unknown enemy, now identified as the Vorax Hive, had withdrawn after their defeat, but everyone knew they would return. After the formal ceremony, a small green Mecteri approached Admiral Kim cautiously. Everyone watched, holding their breath. The Mecteri had once been terrified of her. Admiral Kim surprised them all by extending her hand, a human gesture she had never used before. The Mecteri took it carefully. "Your people fought bravely at Proxima," Admiral Kim said. "We are honored to have you in the alliance." Later, Han found Admiral Kim alone in a viewport lounge, looking at Earth below them. "How does it feel to be respected rather than feared?" Han asked. "Different," she admitted, "but not unpleasant." Han moved to stand beside her. "Your new fleet will be ready next month. 17 species contributing ships and crews." Admiral Kim nodded, united by something stronger than fear. She turned to Han, and for the first time, she smiled fully. "In all my years commanding fleets and winning battles, no victory ever felt as significant as when you carried me from that bridge." "When I hugged you, you mean?" Han teased. "It was not a hug," Admiral Kim insisted, but her eyes were warm. "It was a tactical evacuation." Han laughed. "Of course, Admiral." Together, they looked down at Earth, shining blue and green in the darkness of space, as the once feared shadow of the void allowed herself, at last, to step into the light.